What's up YouTube? Drew here. Today I want to have a different style of video, a more open, relaxed conversation where I talk about the Muppets, because this has been a major talking point within the theme park community lately in regards to the permanent closure of Muppet Vision 3D over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and in my opinion, the disconnect between Muppets fans and Disney and how they are being handled right now. So in full transparency, I was never a die-hard fan of Muppet Vision 3D. I enjoyed the show, don't get me wrong. I saw it more times than I could ever remember throughout my childhood, up until watching it on closing day on June 7th. I appreciate the fact that this was Jim Henson's final project. I loved the humor in the show, how well written it was, and I can appreciate its existence. I will miss watching it, but it was never one of my all-time favorite offerings of Walt Disney World in full transparency. But with that being said, if you're a Muppets fan and you're kind of shocked at me saying that, I'm actually going to offer some very subjective thoughts on my problems with Muppet Vision's closure, and in my opinion, how I think Disney could fix this Muppets problem to make the die-hard Muppets fans happy while also offering those general family offerings, maybe even some new Muppets offerings. So that's what I want to talk about today. With that being said, let's get to it. Alright, so first up, I'm going to offer my very open thoughts on the problems that I have with Muppet Vision's closure. First up, the one thing that really stood out to me is that Disney was promoting Idea Man, a documentary on Disney Plus about Jim Henson's life, when Muppet Vision closed. There was multiple posters in Muppets Courtyard promoting Disney's paid streaming service. Well, you're closing the man's final project. In my opinion, without knowing what's happening to Muppet Vision in the future, this just felt too corporate to me, tone deaf. I would not have had a poster promoting a paid subscription service while you're closing the man's last work in his entire life, especially when Disney owns the Muppets now, right? This is their own IP. So if you had this documentary on YouTube where it's available to watch for free, and families could watch that around the world for free, millions of people, I think that's entirely different. But it just feels like a giant ad rather than appreciating what Jim Henson did during his life, especially with this show and how many people loved it up until its final day. I was fortunate enough to be there. I can confidently say that that was the most emotional, energetic day of a closing of an attraction, even to the point that Heather Henson was there as a part of WW News Today's event. Steve Whitmire. It was a very emotional day. So that was the one thing that rubbed me wrong, in addition to just, it closing and not really knowing what's happening to it, right? But that kind of leads me into my next point, right? Last November, when Disney announced that Muppet Vision would be permanently closing for Monsters, Inc. land, they did acknowledge the fact that they are having, and I quote, creative conversations about how to preserve parts of or the whole film itself for us to enjoy in the future and for future generations to be able to enjoy Jim's work. At the time in November, I was okay with that. They acknowledged one of the major concerns, and in my opinion, at the time, that acknowledged that people love this show, people love the Muppets, right? The Muppets have a very, very strong following, which I'm very well aware of, just being on social media, being a content creator. Now, if you go to Hollywood Studios, you can't watch Muppet Vision anymore. So I don't think creative conversation is enough at this point. If I were Disney, I would have announced on the morning of June 7th exactly what their current plans are for Muppet Vision's future, rather than talking about Rock and Roller Coaster, with the Muppets taking over Rock and Roller Coaster. So I just want some actual details about what is happening to Muppet Vision. Are they going to put Muppet Vision into Fortnite as a part of this $1.5 billion investment? Are they going to put it on YouTube? Are they going to put it on Disney Plus? Is there going to be a physical theater to watch Muppet Vision again in the US, somewhere in the world? We don't have those answers right now. So that's one of my other problems, at least as of now, because they haven't addressed it yet, but that could really come at any point. I just hope that Muppet Vision gets to live on in more than a digital way, because this was a very physical experience, right? You had Sweetums, you had Statler, Waldorf, Bean Bunny, the chef, all the animatronic penguins. It was a very 360 full theater experience. So while I would love to have this on digital, just be able to pull it up whenever and watch it, I think you have to do more than that. And when Disney talks about being a creative company, especially with how, Bob Iger has returned to the company and talked about Disney's pillars of success, and he listed creativity as one of those, I think you have to get creative when you're handling one of the most creative people to ever live's work, Jim Henson. And we don't have that yet. So that's my second concern in regards to Muppet Vision's closure. In my opinion, for the last 50 plus years, the absolute strongest point about Walt Disney World is how many unique offerings are here for families, where an entire family can come to this resort for a week and enjoy an entire trip together, forget about the real world, and just have fun, right? When you're taking away a Muppets family experience, that kills me. Especially within the recent days where I was appreciating Muppet Vision for the final time. The other night I was there, and sitting in front of me was a little boy with his family, and sitting behind me was a little girl with her family. The little boy in front of me was locked into the show the entire time. He was enjoying it, he was smiling. Whenever I left walking out of the show, I could tell that that family enjoyed their experience. And I even glanced behind me, looking to my left. The little girl was sitting on her knees on the chair, focused on the show, laughing at multiple of the jokes. And they're not gonna get to go on Rock and Roller Coaster and experience this next Muppets offering because they aren't tall enough for it. And let's say a kid is tall enough for it, well, maybe they don't want to go on a coaster with a 0 to 60 launch and multiple loops and inversions. So I think that that's why, a lot of people have been talking about, well, just put the Muppets in the theater next to Rock and Roller Coaster, where as of right now, we have Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After, which also, in full transparency, I've seen that show and I'm not a fan of it at all. I really was expecting to love that Disney Villains show because I'm a big fan of Disney Villains. I'm very much looking forward to Villains Land. I cannot wait to cover that project. But I don't think Disney nailed the first major Disney Villains offering in a long time at Walt Disney World. So for me personally, even more now than ever, I'm kind of jumping onto this train of what people have been talking about with make this whole courtyard a new Muppets Courtyard. You have the Rock and Roller Coaster, you do Muppet Vision, right? On paper, or not necessarily on paper, but in our head it makes sense. But that's where I got to thinking. And that's where I'm going to address the topic and title of this video, I Fixed Disney's Muppets Problem. Because I think that this is a solution that would make Disney's bottom line happy, their investors happy, their leadership happy. It would make the general family visiting Walt Disney World happy with new offerings. It would also make your diehard Muppet fans happy. Hear me out here, right? So, I think one of the biggest things that all of us would agree on is that the Muppets have a very good vibe to them. Their humor, the characters, their uniqueness. They've always connected with me on a character level. I love the humor, I love Kermit, I love Miss Piggy. They're just fun characters, right? And I do have to give a shout out here to Jack, owner of DSNY Newscast, one of my good friends. He had talked about this idea before of having fun with the Muppets, moving into their new home. And he talked about it first, don't get me wrong, and even Disney addressed this in their video recently where Kermit was making the announcement of the Muppets taking over Rock and Roller Coaster. He was like, yeah, our old theater and our new home, it's canon. They are addressing it officially in the Muppets canon. But what no one's talked about is whenever you would first walk into the Muppet Vision theater, the key under the mat, right? That was one of the big fun jokes that the entire community knew about was be back in 5 minutes and lifting up the rug and seeing the key on the ground. I think there's a very unique opportunity here for Disney to do a video with the Muppets literally walking over to their new home at Rock and Roller Coaster, but that key that was under the mat at Muppet Vision 3D is also the key that unlocks the door at Rock and Roller Coaster, and we literally see them move into their new home. One of my favorite things that Disney has ever done was back at D23 in August, with that Deadpool segment where he made fun of Josh D'Amaro and the Phantasmic Dragon burning down. It was just fun seeing Disney make fun of themselves and just have a fun moment. They didn't take themselves seriously there. That's what we need more of in this world, just fun things. And what better to do than have fun with the Muppets, your own IP. You have full creative control over them. So that's my idea. That's an idea that I will absolutely claim that I've come up with, is take the key under the mat at Muppet Vision 3D and then have that key unlock their new home. I think that'd be a beautiful nod to the show and it would make people happy. So curious to see what you guys think of that. But this is where I want to offer a solution to the Muppets problem, and that is how I would actually transform that area with Rock and Roller Coaster now into an all-new Muppets studio. So, first off, what I would do is I would remove the giant guitar outside of Rock and Roller Coaster, and I would retheme the exterior of that building to brick facades, like with what we've seen in Muppets Courtyard, and make it seem like the Muppets are living here now. You could theme it to apartments, a house, whatever you want to do, but my mind went to brick facades. And I actually got this idea from Zootopia over at Shanghai Disneyland. If you don't know, they have an incredible puppetry show over at that land in Shanghai. With all of these Zootopia animals, it's an incredible offering over in Shanghai Disneyland, and I cannot wait to see that one day. But like, something we saw at Walt Disney World in the past was the Muppets presenting, American history over in Liberty Square Magic Kingdom. Just bring back that idea of puppets, but do it on the facade of Rock and Roller Coaster now, where like the first thing that guests would see when you're walking into this courtyard are these beautiful brick facades with the Muppets appearing in puppetry form throughout the day as a pop-up live entertainment offering, to where you get to see the Muppets physically in person without waiting in line to see them. That would be the perfect family offering, to where you can still see the Muppets in Hollywood Studios without having to go on the coaster. So some people would be like, I don't want to lose the guitar. That's an iconic part of Rock and Roller Coaster. I totally understand that. This is me being an armchair Imagineer. But I would truly transform that entire building just from being like the box that it is now with no theming to making it feel like the Muppets are truly living here. And then we are going on this adventure. They've invited these music stars in. That's where the storyline of the coaster would be set up after that. And that takes us over to the Sunset Showcase Theater, which is where Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After currently is. Again, this is a fan theory that's been around. Just put the Muppets in this theater. But easier said than done. Again, Disney's a business. It has to make sense for them to do. Here's what I would do. I would create an all-new Muppets show. A brand new show that we have never seen before with the Muppets, tied into some form of Disney Plus offering, to where you have a connection between the parks experience and Disney Plus to have that corporate synergy, to where it would make sense on Disney's bottom line, right? This would also be a perfect offering for the general family that would get them interested to walk to the back of the park to check out not only your brand new roller coaster experience, but a brand new show. That's what I think would attract more people into Hollywood Studios. Again, not living in this little echo chamber of the theme park news world. The general family doesn't necessarily follow everything that we do. So it's important to remember that that's why Disney brought in Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After right now, to balance the crowds throughout this park, get people going to the very back of the park, get people going to Rock and Roller Coaster whenever the Muppets move in. It's all a giant puzzle to make these parks optimized at their max potential. That's how I view the Walt Disney Company and how they're running the Disney parks right now. Here's the thing though. At nighttime, I would then transition that all-new Muppet show. I would stop offering it at nighttime, and for the final few hours in the day, that's where I would bring in Muppet Vision. For the people who are local, all of the pass holders, or the people who are on vacation and really want to see Muppet Vision, they were a fan of the show, I would offer it exclusively at the end of the day, every single day, and allow people to watch Muppet Vision physically in person again at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but only at the end of the day, so that your general family can still enjoy that all-new offering, and to where it's really not affecting your guest attendance that much. I think that this would be the perfect happy balance to bring back Muppet Vision to where you can watch it again in a Disney park in person, while also having a brand new Muppet show, which I think would be awesome. Like, I would love to have a new Muppet show at Walt Disney World. So that's what I would do to solve Disney's Muppets problem. I would love nothing more for Rock and Roller Coaster to be the beginning of this entire area becoming a miniature Muppets studio, because officially Disney hasn't said that Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After is a limited time offering. I feel like many people are expecting this to be a limited time offering because Villains Land is coming to Magic Kingdom, and in some senses it feels like a test for the whole land at Magic Kingdom, but like, we don't know how long this show is going to be here. So we're gonna have the Muppets first, then you're gonna have Villains next door. So like, you're gonna have Rock and Roller Coaster and the Villain Show for now. Like, it's gonna be like that through 2026, 2027, and so on. But I'm talking like down the road, I think it would be a beautiful way to once again bring back a full family offering with an all-new Muppet show with the technology that Disney has today, with better CGI, better cameras, better systems for audio, just make an all-new Muppets experience for families to enjoy. That would also give, you know, the diehards an all-new Muppets experience to enjoy, and at the same time, bring back Muppet Vision 3D at the end of the day when the locals are going to come out once the sun is down, and I think that would really make a lot of people happy. Again, I can only speak for myself. That would make me happy, because then you would have 3 Muppets offerings in Disney's Hollywood Studios that probably would all be very solid, enjoyable, good experiences. So, only time will tell for the Muppets. But as of now, like, we really don't even have details on what this coaster is going to be like. Even though they've announced that it's going to be opening in 2026, we got no new concept art or anything. So my hope is that at Destination D23 this August at Walt Disney World, August 29th, through August 31st, we finally get some concrete plans, what they've been working on over, you know, the last year, and how the Muppets are once again going to be at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But that's where I hand it over to you. What do you guys think about transforming this entire area? Maybe that puppetry show, Muppet Vision at night. What do you all think? I'm super curious. And if you aren't following me over on Twitter yet, at DrewDisneyDude, I post a ton of stuff there. So make sure to follow me over on Twitter if you aren't already. With that being said, thank you all for watching this one, and I'll see you all in my next video.